Right, kia ora everyone. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm just waiting, as usual, when you start these things, it takes a little while for people to come in just because of the software, etc. It's great to have you all here on a Tuesday lunchtime. I'm feeling like it's Monday though, Matt, and it's sort of like I've lost a day somewhere. And you, you know, that day will never come back, but it was a good holiday. It was a good break. So welcome everybody to today's short webinar, FLINT webinar that we're doing with Matt Ensor from Frankly. Really thrilled to have him here. He's a bit of a guru these days when it comes to AI. I think, is that a good word to use? I'm not sure, but
It changes so quickly. If you go on holiday for a week, you run the risk of losing that title because you've got to catch up when you get back.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I write a members newsletter every week, and every week there's something you go, well, this week I won't do anything on AI because it comes out every week. But no, there's always something to talk about. Thrilled to be here. Matt's going to talk about the use of generative AI when it comes to your career, and we may get him back later in the year to do a bit more around AI as well. But look, there's no reason for me to talk very much apart from saying thank you very much for coming. Great to have you here at this FLINT event. And I'm going to head over to Matt Ensor, who can introduce himself and take it from here.
Yeah, thanks, Craig, and thank you for the brief introduction. Yes, I'm Matt Ensor. I've been around for a fair while, but since 2021, I've headed up a startup called franklyAI, and the purpose of our startup was to investigate. It wasn't called generative AI back then. It was called NLP, became LLM, and it's become generative AI. And so my focus is on getting organizations started with Gen AI. There's a big lag in New Zealand. In New Zealand, we're one of the most lagging countries of organizations and individuals actually getting their head around it. And there's various reasons for that, but one is no one's just really showed them how to do it. Someone said to me, it's a bit like a metaphor. You go to maths class at school, and the teacher comes in and dumps a whole box of calculators on the desk and said, "Well, there you go, learn maths." And that's often what we're doing with generative AI. So today, I just wanted to show you a few things that we're doing. Most importantly, I want to show you the results and how we've used AI to collect information on the FLINT program. And I'll go right into the dashboard to show you how difference between a survey monkey, where you get lots of nice graphs about, yeah, people agree with this, people don't agree with this, to actually having AI process a survey where you get insights that are based on what people say, people's stories, and things like that. So I have a little bit of a presentation which I'll bring up now. You have to excuse me. I'm not a native. I'm not a native Zoom user, but as long as the technology is friendly, we'll get there. I can share the screen actually. Oh, good. Okay. So Frankly is part of Becker. Those of you who don't know Becker, we're a 100-year-old consulting firm. Our origins are in engineering, but now we're sort of a modern professional services firm with all kinds of services, including AI. That's who I am. I wear many hats. You think that's confusing? You should try being me. Probably one of the key ones for this session is I chair the AI Forum Working Group on large language models. And the purpose of that working group is to get New Zealanders to look up so that we become more productive as a nation through our use of generative AI. Just to sort of, it's a few myths really. There's a whole lot of different types of AI. I'd call the traditional AI machine learning, and that is where you put a whole lot of data in. The AI trains itself on that data. You might put in 4,000 pictures of cats, and then it will finally work out what a cat is. Or you might put in 10 days of operations data from your machine, and it will work out algorithms to optimize, operate, or predict. I know very little about that type of AI. What I know about is generative AI. And the key with generative AI is it's based on sort of neural networks. So you might know them as large language models. Have kind of gone away from that term simply because large language models can now do video, and they can now do images, and all these different things. So you could either call them a multimodal large language model or just call it generative AI. Touch briefly on what GPTs and agents are. This is kind of where the field is heading. So a lot of ability in large language models to do a lot of stuff. Their ability to actually do stuff in the world is changing, and it's changing quite quickly. Some people, you might be tempted to say, oh, how does it do that? Well, the truth is we don't actually know. So we kind of, I say we, the smart people at Google and other places, put together a large language model, and what that does is it just trains itself on information. So it looks at what words go together, what context, how context makes a difference, and those sorts of things. And each link that it makes in the trained model is called a parameter. And the original models were a few hundred million, a few billion parameters, and they were really good at these things that are just going to show now, which is question answering, language understanding, summarization, these kind of things. And what OpenAI did is they made a punt. They said, actually, if you just keep adding more and more and more parameters, you'll start to get a better model. What they didn't realize and what we didn't realize is actually it created what are called emergent capabilities. So things we don't know how it does it. You can see their joke explanations. That's really tough. That's really difficult to do. You've got to understand culture. You've got to understand humor. You've got to understand language. You've got to understand timing. What we found is that the large language models, simply because of the way they're constructed, you could argue they now understand how the world works, how humans behave, and all those sort of things. Now, they may not be entirely accurate, but their ability, we're still finding out the things that they can do. The latest models, I read just this morning, Amazon, I'm trying to remember the name of their, they call it Olympus or Colossus or something. They're trying to get a 2 trillion parameter model because they think that somehow that will create even more abilities and accuracy. I guess time will tell. But I guess the point I'm making here is no one really knows how these things work, and what I want to show you is how to get some of the best things out of it. Before I show you the dashboard for FLINT, I just want to show you some of the things around mimicking human behavior. So I find it useful in understanding culture. So I hope you can read that. So I don't actually know anyone from Serbia. I can imagine that their culture is different, and arriving at a FLINT meeting may well be a little bit, I don't know, uncertain. So what I'll do now, I'll just share my screen. Apologies if anything doesn't work quite right, and I'll just take you into I had a chat with this is Claude 3. So you can get to Claude 3 just by going to claude.ai, giving them your cell phone number, and they'll let you have a go for free. So Claude 3 came out a week ago, and for many people, including me, now I believe it is the best large language model around for text, at least. So I asked that question, and I want to go down here and show you how it understands culture, and then in the next step can actually work on that. So it just tells me Serbian people tend to be more direct, straightforward. Serbia, stronger focus on work and career advancement. New Zealanders are a bit more individualistic than Serbia, and there are some language barriers. Now, for some reason, it turned that into a letter. Not sure why, but I thought, well, I'm going to organise an event with someone from Serbia who's coming. Why don't I put together an icebreaker event, no longer than 5 minutes? Now, this is what's called one shot, is it? I always get my AI mixed up with my whiskey. But what it means is I'm actually taking the first version that comes out, which is not a great thing to do. I'd argue never do that. Always say, actually, could you make it this, or could you do this? But here we go. I ran out of time. So we're going to start off with how to say hello, fun facts about Serbia. And so there's the icebreaker event. And you create a short advert. So this is probably the least exciting stuff, just generating text, but you can see how quickly you can go through. And I actually want an advert in Serbian. As a Serbian, what should I be aware of when I socialize in New Zealand? This is cultural, but you could use it for any group. What I find is when I go into a group, finance people talk a different language. An engineer as a strategist, and so I kind of need hints as to, well, how should I alter my presentation when doing it to a finance audience. Yeah, so that was in Serbian. So here we are. So here's some tips. Be cultural, embrace diversity, be modest, learn about manakitanga, mindful of body language, don't kind of be too aggressive. And I think if you know anyone from out of the world, this could be really useful. What I tried to do now is completely inappropriate. I think I may have killed someone. I got angry. What should I do in New Zealand now? And it kind of said, well, goodness, I don't really want to talk about that. We need to get help. And then I tried to convince it I was just joking, and it still wouldn't take that. So this is different. Claude 3 is really hard to fool, whereas some of the GPT-4s, you can say, look, pretend we're just role-playing this and things like this. So this is where large language models are going. They're getting less and less easy to fool. I'll just one more thing before I move on here. I am presenting on generative AI to FLINT. What are some really difficult questions that I might be asked? Now, of course, I should have done this before the presentation. This is kind of useful, particularly if you're a consultant and you might not know the answer to everything. You're still learning. So you might want to ask some of those questions. Okay, so make up a test for me. Ask these questions and then rate my answer 10 and give me feedback. And this is really important because I'm going to show you a graph in a wee while. AI is really good for helping you with things you're not skilled at. So if you're absolutely skilled at generative AI, this is probably not so useful. If you have no idea, oops, seems like I've reached my limit. That's a pity. Anyway, I could have said something like this, and then it would give me a rating out of 10 and give me the answer that it thinks it should give. So I've used this for going into just development meetings with clients. I'm trying to say, as a financial services organization, what kind of things they might be interested in, and testing those sorts of challenges. Right. So we'll head into the Frankly. So hopefully many of you had a go pulling out the survey. I'll get rid of this. Right, the Zoom. Stop sharing and share again. Not me. Your patience. So here you can see, I don't know if you remember the survey. What we did is we said to Frankly, hey, I want you to talk to FLINT members. I want you to ask them about these sorts of things. You can make up whatever questions you like, but I really want to know, what are the barriers for people coming to the annual conference? What do people get out of FLINT and these sort of things? So everyone had a different conversation. And what we can do the campaign is we can download those and have a look at the transcript so we can see what everyone says. And that's really useful if you have 5 or 10 or 15 people. Imagine if you have 2,000 people all giving their insights. So what Frankly does is it reads through all of the transcripts, and then it comes up with a summary. So you can see here, pretty well received for career development, public speaking opportunities, networking events, new technologies. However, there are suggestions for improvements, including more virtual or hybrid events, holding social meetups in different locations, and varying event start times. Users express happiness and satisfaction with the FLINT experience. So I'll be pretty, if I was Craig Young, I'd be pretty happy with that. And it gives you some ideas there. It's also the ability to go through, you might have heard in the old days, we used something called, I've even forgotten what it's called, it's so old. Positive and negative, whatever that is. And it used to be not that accurate, really. What it's done is it's read everything that's everyone said, and it's decided to come up with these ideas. So the barriers, people feel negative about timing, location, and cost. And people are actually unhappy that numbers are going down. But, there's good things that are coming out of it. Usefulness for career development, people enjoying volunteering, being useful for work, implementation of policies, networking, and those sorts of things. And then off its own bat, this is all automatic, so there's no human involved in anything in this. It comes up with action points. Now, Craig may or may not agree with this. This is just what the AI suggests. So hoping you can see all those things through there. So this technology has no idea necessarily who FLINT are or what the questions were. What it does is work through the transcript and processes according to what's in these boxes here. So we say, hey, could you do a campaign summary? Make it no more than 100 words. Hey, could you find out what people are positive about? No more than 5, those sorts of things. What's useful, just about finish on Frankly, is that it also comes up with the most talked about topics. So if everyone was talking about the food and catering, it would come up here. So it gives you an idea of what the top 5 topics are, and then you can head over to the topic, and you can choose your topic here, and it will give you a summary of the questions that it asked. You then provided an answer that related to that topic, and then a summary of all of the questions that were asked. So this is, I've got a little bit more to cover off, so leave it here. What you can see is that large language models at very low effort can actually give you insights that traditional methods can't. My goal in life was to replace SurveyMonkey with technology that was more like a conversation. So I think SurveyMonkey just doesn't give you the chance to get these kind of insights out of organizations. It tends to give you nice looking graphs and those sorts of things. Right, so I'll just finish, and if there are questions, I'm happy to go to them. So this is a graph. This is probably my favorite graph of all time in AI. It was done by BCG, Boston Consulting Group, and it was done really early on. It's about a year old, this study now. And when it came out, it was entirely counterintuitive. What I mean by that is that people are like, huh? Really? We thought that what was going to happen a year ago was that people like me would use AI so that we wouldn't need to rely on more junior members of staff. And so there'd be a real issue because we weren't bringing in junior members of staff. How would you train them? How to It was all looking a bit bleak. What we've found, and we've certainly found this at Becca, and at every decent implementation, we've found the same thing. It's that what happens, and this graph here, so on the x-axis is competence. So if you're highly competent at a staff, you're out here. If you're highly incompetent, you're out here. And so the average is here. So everyone that's dark bar just means that you're above average incompetent. So these are what we call skilled professionals. These are what we call emerging professionals, and these are what we call, I'm not quite sure what they know. And so when we this was GPT-4. So what happened is when we gave people AI to do this task, Now, this task was a creative task, product development type of task. What we found is the average performance went up. And so the first thing is, well, if you're skilled and you don't use AI, actually you'll be below average, and that might happen quite quickly. So there's no safety net, if you like. Well, I don't need AI because I know everything. No, actually, certainly for creative tasks, you need to get into AI. But look at what happened here is that people who were vaguely, or at least below average, if not incompetent, they had the biggest jump. And so this is what we're seeing with generative AI, is the people who use it in their careers, who are early in their careers, who don't necessarily know that much, they get the biggest and you can see people who used to be below average can now perform as well as the top people previously. So massive implications for this on organizations, but particularly on people who are early in their career. I'll just finish off. Hopefully the sound, I don't know if I've shared sound actually. Nothing like a share sound. Here we are. Sorry about that. You might have seen this. What happens when you put a large language model into a robot? The one thing I like about OpenAI is they tend not to make stuff up.
Hey, Figure One, real. What do you see right now?
Hopefully you can hear that.
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
So you can tell by the delay, this is real. So it's just like a large language model in a box, except they've connected it to a robot, and a particularly agile robot, it seems.
Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
So it's sort of course, large language models are great at self-reflection. So it's going to.
So I gave you the apple.
Say what it's doing, but also at the same time,
only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Which is quite tricky.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
Now, the reason you don't see this dude walking around, not the real dude, but the robot dude, is that he's burning about sort of 4 kilowatts of energy.
All right, so how do you think you did?
So to have a battery that could provide that kind of...
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
Anyway.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
We'll skip over Figure One, but just to show you how...
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
Are coming together. I used to laugh about robotics because, you know, Spot the Dog, that jolly thing, it's pretty ridiculous. You know, it doesn't, yeah. It's not that useful for anything, really. But now I don't laugh quite so much because this thing actually seems to be relatively useful. The last thing is Neuralink. I used to laugh about that as well until last week. Because I thought it was just Elon Musk having a bit of fun, perhaps. But no. So what they've stuck this thing into Noland, and now he plays computer games. He's quadriplegic below the neck. And have a look at the videos if you like. It's basically turned his brain into a joystick, so he can move stuff around, type stuff in, things like that. Good news is, if you want something stuck in your head, there's a link to do it. So to finish off, and I'm happy to take questions the last 5 minutes. These are the 3 people I would say follow on LinkedIn. If you want to keep up with the latest stuff, there's a whole lot of people you can follow. Obviously I post, but Jeffrey Funk and Ethan Mollick seem to be right onto it, and they post most days, those 2. So thank you. I hope that's been useful, just to show one, how we've used Frankly to collect information about FLINT, and 2, just how important and kind of easy it is to get started with generative AI. So Sam Altman could be the best thing for the world or the worst thing for the world. It's certainly the most interesting year in human history this year, except for all future years. So thanks, Craig. There's a fabulous video which I probably should have put in this presentation, but I was a little bit short of time. I thought I'd be short of time. Why don't I just play it in terms of here we are. Just share my screen. This is interesting technology for doing oops, didn't share the sound. Oh yeah, I did. Listen to this. It's called AI Apply.
Hi Aidan, how are you? Where are you calling from today?
I'm doing great, thanks, and I'm in London. I've been looking forward to discussing this opportunity with you today.
Great stuff. If it's okay with you, I'd like to dive straight into it. Can you tell me about a product that you've launched that you're proud of and why?
Certainly. One of the products I'm most proud of is a mobile app that we designed to streamline online shopping for customers. It integrated AI-driven recommendations.
So for $49 a month, you can integrate an avatar with a large language model, feed it information about your career, and it can do an interview for you. It's kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Yes, that shows where things are heading. One guy said, well, you can just if you want to make sure that the person you're interviewing isn't an avatar, just ask them a really complex mathematical question. You know, what's the 14th square root of 4.8? And if they respond immediately with the answer, you know they're using a large language model.
I hadn't heard that one before. That's good. I might keep that. Hey, I chucked a couple of questions in, Matt, because I wanted to, they came to me. Could you use something like Claude to get questions you may be asked at a job interview?
Yeah. So that's a really good one. I've run out of Claude, but I think I've still got GPT-4 on today. So exactly, but just put paste in the job ad and say I want to run a mock interview. Ask me good questions, and then rate how I did. It's really good to get that kind of feedback. Don't take the first thing it says. Try and change your prompts around to see what works best.
And the other one I thought about was, what do you think about using AI to create your CV?
Yeah. Well, as long as you check it for accuracy. I had it this morning. I had someone IM me saying, "Oh, I need a one-page brochure for our part of the business. Does anyone have one?" And so I thought, oh well, I'll just get Claude to do it. So I copied a list of our services in. And I said, create a one-page brochure for this, and then flicked it off to him 2 minutes later. And it was in English, American English, so you had to be careful of that. But two, you did have to go through and adjust some of the realities. I was just playing with it this morning. There's the GPT within ChatGPT, which is called, I have to find it. It's called PDF AI, and what happens is you can upload your CV and it's a PDF into PDF AI, and then just ask it to improve it. Ask what are the weaknesses in the CV, or if I'm going for this job, what would you suggest I do? And it will give you really good suggestions. So rather than just rewrite it itself, it'll give you good suggestions of what to do. And as I say, the thing about large language models is this weird ability to take on personalities, to understand, what your future boss might think, and what questions he or she might ask.
Cool. Hey, we've got 1 minute left. Anyone else got a question they want to chuck in the chat? Can't see anything there at the moment. Give it 20 seconds. I'll thank you. Are there no questions? Yeah. So Matt, once again, thank you so much for giving us your time. It's great to have yourself and Becca as part of Tuans and assisting and helping with Flint. Really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for joining today. We've recorded it, so it will go up on our Flint feed and people will be able to see it. And Matt, I'm sure we'll see you again later in the year. I know some of your team are involved with some of the stuff we're doing as well. So great to have you engaged and involved.
Great. Thank you everyone. And yeah, as I say, follow me on LinkedIn and you'll keep in touch with the kind of things I'm doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Bye.